media attention and sort of an exponential focus on Everest as a destination. What do you guys think that does for the likelihood people are going to go outside and go climbing, and what does it do for a popular perception of just going for a walk in the woods? Like, what's the relationship between everybody talks about Everest and this is sort of the pinnacle of the recreation. So what does that do for everyday kind of weekend outings?
Hopefully, if we inspire people to get outdoors and try their own challenges, whether it's in their local park or something as extravagant as Mount McKinley, the top of North America, Denali, as we otherwise know it, it would be great. And if we get people to sort of think that whatever they set out to do, that they can achieve those goals, and it's kind of a meaningful thing for us. And to combine the adventure of climbing Everest with human physiology, glacial work, and then studying and learning more about the Sherpas, it's a pretty good combination all around.
That's great. That makes me kind of think of one of the questions, Ali, that you had about individualism and climbing. You want to go for that?
Sure. I guess my question was, to what extent do you view mountain climbing as an individual sport versus a team or communal endeavor? And do you think Mount Everest differs from other mountains in this respect?
That is an awesome question, and to answer that is going to be Emily Harrington. Emily,
This kind of climbing, I think, is definitely more of a team sport. We have to rely on each other a lot for support, both physically and emotionally. And I don't think that we would be where we're at right now without each other. So I don't think it's super individual, at least not for us.
That reminds me of another question that we got sent in advance from Francis. He was wondering, how many porters do you guys use, and how much weight did they carry? And I know that there's a lot of different ways of climbing that mountain. And if you could talk about the different levels of, help and self-sufficiency that you guys have used. Go ahead.
I think maybe Chris can answer that question really well.
Yeah, I think Chris.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Chris.
We use porters to carry most of our equipment up to base camp, and most of those porters carry on average 30 kg to get each of the loads to base camp. Once we get to base camp, we have high-altitude Sherpas, which are phenomenal athletes that in turn help us with carrying equipment further up the mountain, and those loads are typically around 15 kgs.
Wow. So that is a fair amount. And so you guys come up here, once a year maybe, you make your Everest attempts. How often do the porters that are up there end up going, back and forth between the camps in a year? Do you know?
Most of the porters are only using the one season, the fall or spring season, as their carries. The Sherpas that work as our team, we have 9 Sherpas working high on the mountain with us. They sometimes will carry, it'll end up being between 10 or 12 times they'll carry loads up to Camp 2, and occasionally maybe 3 times they'll go above Camp 2 with those 15 kg loads.
So, Bonnie, we haven't gotten to your question yet. You want to fire away to the team there?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I would like to know, for those of you who have kids or, nephews or nieces, if you would want them, when they grow up, to climb Mount Everest, and how would you feel about that? After reading your blogs, it doesn't seem like it's very safe. But yeah, but I do think that why all of you are up there is because you have a great spirit, and you're just not like the rest of us. You really are what the dreams are made out of, books and movies, and everyone wants to be like you, but not all of us can do it. So would you want your kids to do what you do?
Well, since I just answered the question, I think it would only be fair to pass this one off to Hilaree.
Okay, I'm going to jump in. Let's see. Do I want my kids to do this? I would give anything for my kids to be passionate about something. In the same way, I'm passionate about climbing mountains. So if it's climbing mountains that they choose, then I'll support it. Yes. I might not be psyched, like my parents aren't psyched about me, but I'll support it.
Very nice.
Well, now there's some spectrum to that in the experience of the team members here, because of course Conrad and Max. Conrad is Max's stepfather, so we've got people on the expedition there that actually do have this relationship and are encouraging their sons to go and climb. Conrad or Max, you want to say a word about that?
It's been quite the experience for me, kind of following in both my father's footsteps up here into the Himalaya, seeing as they both had quite amount of time up here climbing and spending time amongst the people, and that's kind of where I got my inspiration for my Young Explorers Grant project, partially. And although I'm not climbing the mountains this trip around, it's definitely eye-opening being able to see the things that I read about in postcards and heard about on phone calls when I was a little kid.
Thanks, Max. So that raises an interesting question of, there's the big dream side of this, and then there's the very practical experience side. And we've had a lot of questions from, like, Federico is one example, who says he wants to know what kind of food you're eating and, if it's tasty. And then we've had people say, do you do the normal, how do you do the normal stuff, like cooking? And, what kind of gloves are you wearing? So can you give us a little insight into the practical meals and stuff that you guys are dealing with?
I think Phil might want to step in on this one. He's a Knowles instructor and knows a lot about handling food and all that business out in the wild. So.
How's it going? I was sure I was going to get hit with that question. Yeah, food-wise, well, here in base camp, for one, we don't cook, which is really nice. We have our in-town staff that cook for us. But we eat a variety of food, but we've been requesting dalbat a lot, which is lentils and rice, because it's easy, for one. It's filling, for two. And up here, you want to eat as much as you can. You don't really say that anywhere else in the world where people just want to eat as much as they can. We definitely eat a lot here. And so it's one of the struggles, though, because at altitude you don't really have an appetite all the time, so you want to, you have to try and make yourself eat enough. We eat times a day when we're in base camp, believe it or not, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's like clockwork, and when you're in a resting mode, you eat and you rest and you eat and you rest, and it seems like that's kind of what you're doing here in base camp a lot of time. As we move higher up on the mountain, we go into Camp 1, we're actually cooking for ourselves. You spend a lot of time boiling water because you need to stay hydrated.
Oh, man. I think hydrated is where he was going with that one.
Yep.
Yep.
I was thinking, who brings the trash down? There's got to be a lot of trash.
Yeah, that is a great question. They have historically a lot of problems because a lot of expeditions haven't used leave no trace methods, and they just dump stuff, and people carrying oxygen, you end up with a depleted oxygen tank. That's a lot of weight to be carrying that serves no purpose. So people leave that stuff a lot. I know they periodically will go up and do cleans, like where people go up on specific cleaning expeditions, where they're able to take care of some of it. But the best, the best plan for cleanup is really not to make the mess in the first place. So, like Toby was talking about, leave no trace, mentality, and using those principles to keep each next expedition from changing the mountain itself.
I was wondering that it must actually be very hard for Conrad to, and when would he have to make the decision to head the expedition down to make it safe for others? And yesterday I read an article about a different expedition up there where you're at that had to head back, and someone was so upset that went to MSNBC because they complained of paying $55,000 to head up there, and they hit them back without an opportunity to try and climb as high as they could. When is it that your gut tells you you have to turn back and make it very safe for the others on your team? And
great question, and the team's safety is of paramount importance. And so when we're on the mountain, we're constantly evaluating the situation and the conditions and how things might change. In our case, we have we've given up the chance to go up to the West Ridge because conditions are not safe enough this year. And on summit day, the ultimate decision is up to the climber on how they're performing up there. And you get that. You know what you're doing and you know how your body's performing, but then you also get feedback from your climbing partners. So your friend might notice, hey, your ear could be getting frostbitten, or you're looking really tired, or we have different ways of communicating with each other about the conditions, and we're like, okay, if it's not working out, you've got to head down because you don't want to endanger the group. So, yeah, there are severe conditions on Everest this year, and several expeditions have decided not to continue, and mostly out of respect to the Sherpa that work for these expeditions, because for every Western climber, there's probably a Sherpa needs to do 12 carries through the icefall and other dangerous sections of the mountain. So if a tour operator doesn't want to expose their staff to that risk, it's understandable. And it's also the care of the clients is in the trip leader's hands, and making those decisions is a tough call, and it's part of mountaineering.
Yeah. So that's a good insight into a lot of the difficulties that you run into. So now people are wondering about, well, there's still the thrill of it. Latora Lewis has a great question about, other than simply being on top of the world, what do you have set aside for a celebration when you do, if you do, reach it to the top?
Well, I think we'll get down and it's wow. You guys are coming off the shoulder here to Pomori is a huge ice avalanche. So there's Sirac, which is a hanging glacier, and it just cut loose. And this is about as close as you get to nature's fireworks and spectacular things. And so we're everyone in the tent here had to take a moment and appreciate that. But and we'll hope we shared that with you all out there in cyber world. But we get down, we've made it safe and sound with 10 toes, 10 fingers and a nose. We're going to be super happy. We're going to drink a bunch of tea and just call it good. And I mean, well, I mean, we've got a bottle of Oban, but I mean, we're gonna celebrate. But the main thing is you get on the phone and you call up your loved ones and you're like, hey, we made it back safe and sound. So we've got a strong team this year, and we're looking towards a departure date from here on the 21st, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, an eventual summit date on the 25th of May.
I'm interested to know what have been some of the funnier or more enjoyable moments on Everest.
Okay, this is like we've all just decided that it's
Is it when you were hanging from the ceiling in the tent?
Yeah.
Do you guys do you know any funny moments? Seriously.
There's a funny moment when you slapped about that one.
What?
You got your pants open. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
good.
cut your pants open.
Cut your pants open.
I almost sliced the leg of my Himalayan suit off with my crampon the other day.
Hey.
It wasn't so funny at the time, but back here in the warmth of base camp, it's kind of funny.
High altitude flatulence.
There's this syndrome called high altitude flatulence that everyone except me has.
Right, sure.
Sam, we were
Sorry.
just saying that your comment about gases expanding related to a question that we got from a school classroom where they were wondering whether the weight of materials changes as you climb up a mountain. Do things feel heavier or lighter as you move up?
Like we're going to outer space?
Yeah.
No. You know, the difference in air pressure and the seeming lack of oxygen makes everything harder, and the higher you go, the less pressure there is, and so the harder it is to breathe, and it does make simple tasks like just walking around seem harder, but actual objects, I don't think they change their weight. Although most of us have lost weight on this trip, myself included, losing 11 pounds, so maybe there's some truth to that question.
Wow. So is
The
that
higher you
something
go, the less you weigh.
Is that something you have to stock up for? Do you guys try to put on extra weight, like bears going into hibernation before heading up the mountain?
Yeah, actually, a lot of us tried to gain weight before coming here. It's kind of inevitable. Your body's metabolism is just working harder up here, and you know, we're eating full big meals, and we just can't seem to keep the weight on. So yeah, we did try to stock up a little bit as much as we could, but still remain healthy.
Great. So we have a great question here. Is that another near-death experience?
Did everyone else see that?
Yes.
There's your lighthearted moment.
Is that your boyfriend?
My husband, yeah.
You might want to check.
You're welcome.
I think there's a stranger in your apartment.
Hello, everybody. Hello to the guy in his skivvies as well.
He's mad at me.
Hey guys, I was just going to ask another question about what it's like up there. A little higher up on the mountain, are you running into other teams, and what are the relations like with those teams? Are you guys joking around and having fun, or is it high tension and very competitive? And yeah, just like what's it like hanging out with some of the other different folks from across the world?
It's competitive at all. I'd say it's very friendly. There are a lot of other teams on the mountain. In fact, as you know, there are typically several summit windows. That's where the weather is good. And there are probably 200 people, as far as we know, up on the mountain right now, tonight and tomorrow, going for the summit. And we're going to attempt the same thing in about 3 or 4 or 5 days. But no, there's a lot of camaraderie. People come and visit each other's tents, share a little wine or a little beer or whatever you have, and everybody's got a good attitude. That's what we found anyway.
Good to hear.
Fantastic. That reminds me of a question that we got in advance from, I believe his name was Philip, and he was wondering, are any of you smokers? And if so, how do you deal with that?
I don't think any of us are.
No, we're none of us.
Nobody on this team is a smoker. You do see the Sherpas smoking, by the way. A few of them, which is kind of remarkable given they're carrying packs that weigh about 3,000 pounds. But no, nobody on this team is a smoker.
That's good. I was going to say, yeah, that keeps you fit, but now your little anecdote about the Sherpas smoking makes me think, I don't know, I guess it wouldn't hurt. But Lori, their last response made me think of the question that you had about detentions, seeing other people summit. You want to go ahead and fire with that?
I'm just curious how you guys are doing in terms of waiting to summit, although other teams have already gone up, and we've gotten reports that some teams from Chile and other areas have already made it to the top. Are you guys, does that increase your anxiety? Are you more excited? How are you doing with that waiting period?
No, actually, I don't think it increases our anxiety. In fact, it might be a little bit the opposite, because what you do forward to going a little bit later, the second window, as we're calling it, and I don't think it increases anxiety. In fact, I think it does the opposite. But your brother has something to say to you, so hold on.
It is.
Hello.
Hi.
How you doing? My question for you is, are you going to summit? That's my question.
Good.
Good.
Are you there? Did we lose you?
You there?
No, we're still here.
Give us a report. What's going on?
Things are well. The team is ready to go. We've got just a few rest days coming up. Everybody's psyched and healthy. We're ready to go. Everybody's healthy and excited, and just waiting for the weather. Yeah, so things are good. Looking good here.
Okay. So we know that the weather is a big concern, but Anderson, an 8th grader, is concerned about some other factors that might come into play in the Himalayas. He's wondering if you believe in the Yeti and what you would do if you found it.
Sam actually saw one the other night here, so.
There you go, Anderson. Live report on a Yeti sighting from Mount Everest.
Actually, we consider Andy the Yeti of our group. But no, we had a puja ceremony in a temple, and on the way up, and they had supposedly like a claw and a skull of a Yeti. It was definitely kind of freaky. I mean, people up here definitely believe a lot of different things. And we haven't seen any Yetis yet, but we're on the lookout.
It's like you might have a Yeti on this board.
Great. Well, if you do, I know you've got a lot of photographers there with you. And so on behalf of the National Geographic Society, I can pretty much guarantee we'd get you a good cover article on that one. Okay. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to go to our final question now. Here you are out on Mount Everest having the experience of a lifetime, and then eventually you're going to go home. What is it that you're going to miss most about Everest when you get back?
The team.
The team.
Yeah, I think everybody just kind of answered the same exact answer. We're all going to miss each other. It's been a really difficult experience so far, and we still have the entire mountain to climb, basically. The time that we've gotten to spend with each other, to learn about each other, to support each other, it's been unlike any other bonding experience I've ever had in my whole life. Expedition climbing is definitely new to me. I'm with a lot of seasoned veterans, and they've explained that the bonds that you make on these sorts of trips, they last for a lifetime, and I can certainly say that I feel closer to these people now than I ever have, and that definitely they're like family to me, and I entrust my life to them. And I went for a walk solo today, and I was thinking on the way back that, yeah, I mean, I would do almost anything for any of these people here, just based on the time we spent together so far. So, yeah, it's special to be together like this and to have this endeavor of this sort of magnitude to try to tackle together. And when it's all over, we go back to our normal lives, and we'll remember, I think, that. And I don't know, I'm sort of speaking for myself, but
that's a great answer. Yeah,
I think that yeah, that's the most important thing that we've got here.
Great. Well, Sam, Max, Conrad, Hilaree, Emily, Mark, Bill, everybody over there, thank you so much for joining us. It's been really a pleasure and a privilege to get to talk to you guys out there. All the best on your continued climbing. And Toby, Lori, Bonnie, and Allie, thank you for joining us here. And everybody out there, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Continue
Good luck
following
to
along.
everyone.
And we hope to see you again soon for
Hangout. Thanks a lot, like the support and all the following that everyone's been doing. We've felt it. It's definitely given us strength, and we really, really, really appreciate it, and we're going to do our best.
All right, go get them, guys.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.